Hey, what's going on, Facebook? This is A.L. Johnson, and this is the Elevating Men podcast. It is Mental Health Monday. It's February 1st, Black History Month. So definitely want to respect and honor that. I've got a couple of my partners here today. We're going to be talking about what we always do, making better men, making better men. Today, we want to share a little bit of our life experiences, some things that we possibly could have changed or done better in hopes of this broadcast maybe touching one or two young men out there who could learn from our experiences and not have to go down the same road that we did, make the same mistakes over and over again. Because that's the issue. There's a perpetual cycle of us making the same mistakes generation after generation. And at this point, we got to stop. We got to figure out some kind of way of putting the brakes on it. And that's just what this is all about. And so, you guys know who I am. I'm A.L. Johnson. I'm gonna go ahead and introduce you to my brothers real quick. First off, I got LaRon Barnes. How you doing, bro?
I'm doing good, brother Andrew. How you doing, family? How you doing?
Oh man, loving it, loving it, loving it. I'm feeling better too, man. I was a little congested last week. It was all like, it wasn't COVID though. It wasn't COVID.
Mm-hmm. Straight up. No, that's not.
They think every cold is COVID now. You can't sniff, sneeze, cough, or nothing. It's COVID.
Bro,
They ain't
don't
got
do
COVID, so yeah. But can you share with everybody what it is that you do, brother?
Absolutely. So I'm a motivational speaker and an inspirational life coach. And what I do is I inspire people to live their dreams. No matter where you are in life, there's something that we always want. You may be facing challenges that like dealing with fear, dealing with an unbalanced life, dealing with certain things that is keeping you from being your best self. So what I do is I call forth what's inside in you to the forefront of your mind so that you can use even what you don't know you have. So we go within yourself to find out who am I? What do I want? I ask you questions that make you think a certain way that gives you answers that you never knew you had. So I'm a life coach, man. I love this thing. I do this thing, and if you want to change your life, I'm telling you, this is a good place to start.
Hey, that's right. If you want to change your life, that's the man to get with. LaRon Barnes, LaRon the Motivator on Facebook. Over the course of this, you'll get to know him a little better, and you'll know that that's the man. That's the man with the plan. All right, and so on the bottom right of your screen, brother Lauren Jones the second.
Yes,
He's
sir.
here. He's the founder and starter of a podcast called Fatherhood, which is something that we talk about here. Can you introduce yourself and just kind of tell the people what it is you're working on?
Absolutely. Good evening, everybody. Thanks for everybody for tapping in and joining us. Again, my name is Lauren Jones the second. I have a father podcast called The Fatherhood, and it's just focused on all things fatherhood. I think everybody knows that the father is a key piece of the foundation of the home, and it's been destroyed. We're slowly just being removed from the home. And as you continue to fast forward, you see, the generations preceding us coming up, generations coming after us. Everybody's coming up with, no foundation, no idea where to start. So, we just kind of trying to forward our own path. So, my podcast really, begins to open up those conversations and begin to kind of break down those barriers of why, we continue to, fall for the trap and fall into, the same circumstances that basically get us nowhere, basically. So,
Definitely on the road to nowhere, bro. So,
yeah,
we want to commend you for what you're doing. We need more people getting on the bandwagon. We so quick to, jump on all these challenges. We got all the aunties on TikTok doing silhouette challenges and all that stuff or whatever. But we need to make some fatherhood challenges, some get the family back together challenges, some raise these kids right challenges. That's what we need to be on. And
yeah.
so, last but not least, I got my brother on the bottom left. His name is Andrew as well. It's my namesake. Uh, but he's also the founder of Dinner and Dialogue. He's an author of one of my favorite books. Um, man, we actually need to do a podcast specifically on that book too, because it's raw. It's one of the rawest books I've read. But it's Why I Refuse to Say I Love You. And he's also working on a plan for the Black community to, build some cooperative wealth. And it's called the Restoration. And so, Mr. A.L. Boykin, how you doing, sir? Is it?
Hey, good evening. This album, I'm hoping that. All right, am I breaking up?
You good? You good?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Ah, damn it.
Now we can hear you. We heard the damn it too.
Okay, I'm just hoping that I can keep this thing. But okay. 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 So anyway, this restoration is 30-year plan that basically is that this generation we're already programmed. We've our mind are and us to unprogram, deprogram, unlearn, or however you want to phrase that, because we are the ones who are desperation what to do and what not to do. We're perpetuating the pain, and we don't even recognize it.
Definitely. So if that was skipping out on you, I know a little bit about the plan. The restoration. Yep, that's good. The restoration, what it is, it's a 32-year plan. It's a financial plan for the Black community in which seeds are planted but not eaten off of immediately because it's for future generations. It's something that should have been done a very long time ago. It's called the restoration. And so we're going to actually have a live stream where we talk specifically about that and get into the details and the nuts and bolts. But let's talk about the show today. What I would have done differently. Oh my God. What I would have done differently. So here's the reason for this show. So let's talk about it. I want to pose a question. It's a couple of questions, right? And so you can do a thumbs up, a like. I'm actually on a StreamYard, so I'm not on Facebook Live. I can't see who's actually watching, but I can see a few numbers. And so give us a thumbs up, a like, a heart, or something. Let us know that you're here. Definitely feel free to leave comments. This is interactive, and we'll be addressing those. But here's the question: Do you believe that society has been on the decline? Like, say, if we want to put a timestamp on it from the civil rights movement till now, has our community been rising or declining? What would you say?
That's a loaded question.
The same. We are in a different era of.
Yep, because I would say we've been on the decline. If we look at our marriage rates, if we look at the single motherhood rates, the rates are out of control. It's crazy, and it's funny because media would have you believe that family isn't important, right? The relationship between man and woman isn't important. We should all be solo dolo, doing our own thing. Live your best life, whatever you want to call it, but our children are suffering because of it. Would you agree?
I definitely would agree with that. It's stemming off of the knowledge that our parents had. All knowledge is passed down. So if we really get what we needed, right, this will help us be effective in an area, whatever it is in our lives. We're going to be the result of it. You know what I mean? So, and it hasn't been getting better. That's why we have to make a change even today. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, it definitely hasn't been getting better. Like the murder rate's out of control. Even here in Kansas City, this is where we're at. People are watching from everywhere. But, here in Kansas City, if you just go to the KC crime map and you can click in, zoom in, it'll tell you the ages of people. It'll break it down. Man, our young men are off the chain. It's crazy out here. They have no respect for life. They have no respect for women, no respect for children. None of that. You know what I mean? These drive-by shootings. I'm right here on 63rd Street in my office, right? When I look out of this window right here, I can see the apartment complex where the little baby Justice that was killed over the summer. I can see that from here. You know what I mean? And it was just a reckless situation where a child lost their life and they shouldn't have. And it's because of our young people. They're lost. They're misguided. And I'm trying to figure out what's going on, right? And so here's the question. I would be lying if I said that, I didn't have a good mother or, I didn't have good people around me. Everybody on here, I know you had, good people who loved you, who probably imparted wisdom. They gave you information. They told you, hey, you shouldn't do this. You shouldn't do that. And I'm sure they had the same thing. So my question is, where does this disconnect come in from us getting the information that we need to live better lives and us just going our own way and steadily causing a decline in our society? Like what's the disconnect? Why aren't we listening? What's going on?
I mean, I think some of it is related to, I would say, the inability to remember what it was like when we were younger. You know, you get to become an adult and you're doing adult things, and so
Right.
to really tap into the mind of what a 17-year-old is thinking,
Hmm.
it's you have to pull yourself back into something that you used to be instead
Right.
of something that you are. And you know, we spend a lot of time trying to bring people up, and when you're starting a conversation, you have to meet people where they are.
Yeah.
You know, so you can't always say, I need you to come up to my level. Eventually, if you stay connected, they will get there as long as you stay connected.
I feel
But
you. So what you're saying, there's like too much pulling versus like, let me come where you're at and just talk to you where
yeah,
you're at.
just meet them where they are, you know. And you know, because we talk about, you know, stuff like you know, the way they talk and stuff like that,
Right, right. How
you
they
know, and
dress,
it's like,
pants sagging, and all that.
yeah, and it's
Yeah.
like, you know, ignore all that. Ignore all that, because if you see a need, they're that way for a reason.
Hey, and the perfect example of that, you know what I'm saying? Is in the Bible. Jesus Christ, right?
Yep.
He talked to the prostitutes. He talked to the least of them. He went directly where they were, and he spread the gospel that way. So
Yep.
I feel where you're coming from. Now, here's my theory. This is my personal theory. I could be like dead wrong. Y'all tell me what you think, right? This is my personal theory. Okay. What I think it is the message is never given properly, right? Here's what I mean by that. So I got a lot of wisdom and direction and instruction from church, right? Which is good. It's great. It's not a bad thing.
Mhm.
But it was given to me in a way of like, don't do this because it's wrong, with very little explanation. And a lot of time it was coming from people who I felt, I could have just maybe put them on a pedestal on my own. I don't know. But I felt
Yeah.
like they hadn't gone through anything. They really couldn't relate. You know what I'm saying? They're just, saying something more or less, just good lip service. It sounds good, but I don't
Right.
think you've been through it. I don't even think you know what it's about. And so that's a part of it. Is I believe a lot of times we're telling our children things, but there's no connection because they feel we don't have the life experience. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then when you don't get it from that way, well, then you get it from the streets. And so again, you get another lopsided point of view because you're getting it from people who are glorifying the very things that are tearing you down, right?
Yeah.
So maybe it's the neighborhood drug dealer and you aspire to be like him materially, but the way he's showing you the game, you're like, man, this is attractive. And so you're not looking at the consequences. You know what I mean? You're just looking at, hey, there's a potential reward here. I'm going straight for it. And you're not thinking about what if I miss? What if I end up dead? What if I end up in jail? How does that affect my family? How does that affect future generations? So there's no consideration for any of that. And so that's why we created Elevating Men. What we want to do is we want to ride that fine line, right, between giving them the real, but also coming from a perspective of life experience and saying that, hey, you can be anything you want to be. You can have anything that you want to have in this world, but there are certain ways that you have to go about it, right?
Right.
You can become a multimillionaire a million different ways. It doesn't have to be rap. It doesn't have to be exposing yourself or, flexing for the culture or whatever. You know what I mean? You can be a businessman and you can still have fun. You can still get still take your girl and get the red bottoms. You can go to Vegas. You can hang out. You can kick it, but you can do it morally and ethically. And I don't think there are enough examples that are put in front of our young men's faces so they can say, you know what, I'd rather do that than possibly end up dead or in jail trying to chase the same bag. That makes sense.
And going along with what you said, Andrew, just like for using an example, just having the wrong role models, right? I think a lot of times that what is seen is the result of, whether it be the money, whether it be the cars, whether it be everything that you can see visually. And even if the individual may get caught doing the wrong thing or whatever it may be, a lot of individuals think I can be different. They think, you know what, maybe the outcome will be different for me. So they do the same thing and get the same result. So it's trying to reinvent the system, saying, hey, this is the easy way out. Of course, I can make a lot of money this way. I can get there quicker this way. But the quickest way is not always the best way or the most efficient way. The quickest way actually can set you back years if you're not careful and make
Man,
from that perspective. So I mean,
absolutely.
that success leaves clues, just like failure leaves clues. It's clues. Success is going to show you. Success is going to show through the individual that has done something great with their life and is committed to it as well. So don't think that by going a different way because it's all about the money, all about what is out there. Don't think that's not what you're really supposed to be looking for. More so, it's more so the honest way to do it. The honest way, the way that it may take the stairs. You may not get the elevator way, right? But you got to take the stairs. So just kind of saying, you know what, this is where I am. I know that it's going to take a little more effort going this way, but I'm willing to do it. It's not always about the quick way out. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons that the young men and a lot of people go the wrong direction before they go the right one.
Man, hey, you're right. Because that's why everybody wilding out now, because everything's instant. You know what I'm saying? Instagram. You know what I'm saying? Like everything is instant. It has to be quick right now, right fast, in a hurry. I want the biggest following, the biggest car. I want the trips. That's why all the relationships are accelerated. You know what I'm saying? Like I remember growing up in church, my pastor used to talk about courting. Like courting, it's 2021. Like, what is courting? You know what I mean? Like, so you want me to go talk to your parents and, we're going to have these dates with the family and all this before? Heck no, that's not what's happening in 2021. What's happening is I see you in your story. You looking good. You're sitting on the sink or doing whatever. You're enticing me. Boom, I'm in your inbox. This weekend I'm at your house, and that's what it is. But the issue with all of that is, again, we're not thinking in advance. We're not thinking.
Well, think about this, man. When you think about single parent homes,
right?
A lot of boys are getting information from women.
Absolutely.
And even a strong woman, when a boy gets to a certain age, it's just really hard to make that connection. I'm talking to my mom about sex, you know what I'm saying, or whatever it is. Most boys don't want to be talking to a lady. You know what I'm saying?
What's happening with most boys, because like you're saying, like there aren't a lot of uncles and older brothers, and there isn't that rallying around the young boys in the family. So who's teaching them? They're usually teaching each other. Like for real, I remember being in the yard, we all lying. You know what I'm saying? Like you got your one boy talking about, yeah, I've done this, I've done that. You ain't done nothing yet. You know what I mean? But you're just having the conversation or whatever, and that's how we're learning. So we take a little bit from him, and maybe he heard this on TV and he's bringing it to the group, and maybe I read this and it's a reckless way of learning things that are very valuable. You know what I'm saying? It's a very reckless way of learning.
My thought is, how y'all gonna tell me what I'm supposed to be thinking? You don't know my life, you don't know my life, and you don't know my life. And I don't want to listen to y'all. I don't even want to be y'all. So why you talking? Show me what I want to be.
Yeah. That's definitely a part of it too. I think that's why they gravitate to the hip hop culture or whatever, because they have what they want. They have the material possessions. But I think that's one of the issues too. We got to stop glorifying material things so much in front of these kids, because it's brainwashing them. I mean, if you think about it, if you constantly putting material things in their face, you got to have the new Jordans, you got to have these different type of clothes, we got to keep up with the Joneses. It sets it into motion.
You don't have to.
Jones down the street that got the woman that I want. So, and he's driving the car that I can't buy yet.
Yeah.
So what am I supposed to do?
Right.
I gotta get the money so I can buy the car, so I can get the woman.
Man, look, hey, hold up. See, we supposed to be. We got a little schedule here. We supposed to be following, man. Y'all.
All right, I'm trying to put me in a box, and y'all can't put me in a box. Y'all don't. And I'm only 13.
Yeah,
man.
So imagine all this frustration at 13. I'm gonna wind up having sex, and I'm not gonna even know the pull-out game or the wrap-up game. And pretty soon, a baby is here. So there's another broken family.
And that's what I was getting at. And that's what I was getting at, because we have too many babies having babies, and then we wonder why so many people in child support court. We're wondering why He's not showing up the way that he should and doing the things that he should. He probably didn't have a father, so he had no example. And then when he became a father, he wasn't even ready. He wasn't even ready to have sex, let alone become a father. And so we got to start figuring out solutions on how can we slow this thing down and allow our children to be children for a little bit longer, maintain that innocence until it's actually time for that. I think one of the things that we're missing, tell me what y'all think about this, right? So I've been reading up on rites of passage for men, like throughout the ages. And so from different civilizations, they would always have some sort of like ritual or whatever, to say that you're a man now. You got to go through this. Some of them went as far as, hey, we're going to throw you off in the wilderness or whatever and see if you can make it back after 30 days or whatever. After that, you're a man. But I ain't suggesting that. Some of them, though, the ones that's doing these drive-bys and stuff, we might need to throw them out somewhere and see what their survival skills are like. But there's nothing really that signifies to our young boys that I've crossed over and it's time for me to change and think differently. What do you guys think about that?
For me, it's kind of more programmed. I'm looking at this comment by Miss Williams. She says that my son said him and his friends learn from each other because none of them had fathers involved in their lives. And it kind of goes to what you're saying. If you want to program me, and that program doesn't fit my immediate need, I'm not listening to the program. It's just school. It's just talk from an older person. I'm not listening. Yeah. I'm not listening. My focus is right now, right here. And I got a heart on this that's trying to, that I'm competing with.
Yeah. And that's what I was saying when I said, you got to meet them where they are instead of trying to automatically just say, I got to right now pull you up to my level. Because they ain't at your level, otherwise they would already be there. You have to meet them where they are, and and you got to speak their language. I mean, that's just the truth. It's not saying you have to completely change who you are to try to make that connection, but you do have to speak their language in a way that they understand, because their interest level is completely different than our interest level as men.
And see what we don't realize, Lauren, it's okay when they speak Greek and we speak French, who don't jive. But if we meet them where they are and we learn Greek, we can actually teach them French.
There you go.
What we try and do is we just try and speak Greek to them as if we're teaching them something, and all we're teaching them is what they know.
Yep.
Yeah, that's why I'm shoot. I mean, in church, man, you look at it, I don't know about your church. I'm saying the one I grew up in. That's all I can, relate to. But the little kids was asleep. I'm just being real. Like the little kids was asleep. Like everybody about 16 and under was kind of nodding over, in the middle of the sermon. They didn't feel like it was for them. And so I understand where you're coming from with that. I know there's a couple programs that I've seen in various schools where they'll have maybe businessmen come in. I know I went to, I believe it was Bishop Hogan. They had it was like a Shark Tank event where the young kids, they were able to, show their inventions or, business ideas and things like that. My point is, do you feel like that's the way, like we need more, the businessmen or something interacting in the schools to show a different path of success, or like, where does that come in? Where do we get that message in front of them? How can we do it?
I think we just need more mentors, more mentors who have a passion, who have a heart, who actually care about them enough to go in and say, you know what, where are you? Right? Where are you? I don't believe we have enough father mentors that's giving people direction. And we know, especially in our community, a lot of us are growing up without fathers, right? Mm-hmm. And so to have another man to show that they care, whether it be a coach from school or whatever it may be, to give somebody direction, I just believe we got to step up and say, hey, there's an issue. Our children are being raised this way. They don't really want to listen. And it goes back to what Brother Drew, both of you all were saying, Brother Drew as well, is that both of y'all, how you got to meet them where they are. Even in the Bible, it says, I became all things. Paul said, I became all things so that I may win some. So you got to meet them exactly where they are. Show them relatability. It's not about, hey, I'm looking like I'm acting young, this, that, and the other. No. I understand you. I understand what you're going through. You got to show relatability. I once went through the same thing, and this is how I came out. And then you got to let your life model what you're saying. You got to be, you can't be telling them one thing and then acting another way, right? You got to show them, hey, I'm a mentor. I'm here right now, and I'm gonna show you what my life, and I'm going to encourage, motivate, and inspire you to become better than who you are today. And then put them in direction and show them, put them in a position to where they're receiving what you're saying. Put them in a position to what you're saying is manifesting in their lives. Like give them some direction. So don't just tell them something and then don't show them how to do it. No, walk through them, be with them through the process, because being young, they never had direction. They didn't have a lot of father figures. They didn't have a lot of male figures. So you're the one, you can't just say, hey, do that, and then you're going to get the result. No, take them by the hand and show them. See, you can, and I know, and I'll say this is the same. If you teach a man to fish, he'll eat for a day. Or if you actually, if you give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. But if you teach him to fish, he'll eat for a lifetime. So we got to start going through a process of that.
No, definitely. And another part of it too, because like we're talking about, I posed a question on my Facebook page earlier today, like how many single women are raising boys or young men, and man, it's just flooded, a bunch of them. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's a big part of it. And so a lot of them, and I have to commend the ladies on there that they said that their fathers, their child's fathers were in their lives and they appreciated it. That's a beautiful thing. And then there's some women who it's just unfortunate that they, for lack of a better word, they made it with the wrong person. Somebody who just doesn't care about their seed or whatever, which I feel is rare. I think most men do care about their children and they want to be there. Some of them are just lost and don't know how to, be there in the best way possible. But also there has to be a humbling of some women. And I'm not saying all, I'm saying some women who kind of carry on the, I could do it all by myself. I don't need no man. Maybe you don't need a man, but your son needs a man, and so if you don't have, that man that's in the house every day, you weren't able to work out that relationship, that's fine. If you don't have brothers, uncles, etc., there are organizations. We got a comment from Tammy Carolyn, and she's with Big Brothers Big Sisters. She's tuning in today, and she says more mentors are badly needed in our space. She said we have children who are waiting on men to step up and defend children's potential. And so definitely I'll get with you after the show, Tammy, and we will see what things we can do here at Elevating Men to help out with that.
I did Big Brothers and Big Sisters I was a mentor for 6 years. And it's a really strong program. Obviously it's more kids than men available. And that's like, I can agree with her. There's more kids than men available. I think what's tricky about when you start organizations like that, though, is some of the men that they can make connections with have records or whatever the case may be. So they're automatically disqualified from being able to even be a mentor.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. You gotta have a pretty clean record to be a part of a program like that. You can't have things like felonies or certain type of misdemeanors. Those type of things automatically disqualify.
And that's the thing. Like there has to be some kind of in between here. We got to figure something out because the church is a good place where men can get some mentorship, from the deacons, other men in the church. They tend to be family men, etc., people that you can model after. But let's just be real, everybody ain't going to church. Like, everybody's not going to church. And then, like you said, there's a little issue there with Big Brothers Big Sisters, great organization, but there's some barriers to entry there. And so, one thing that I think that was really good, even when we think about like the Black Panthers, it's Black History Month, we think about things like that, how they police their own neighborhoods and how they, men just kind of took that initiative. I had a radio show a couple years back and I had Alvin Brooks on the show. If you're from Kansas City, Alvin Brooks, just everybody knows who he is. He did a lot for the community. But he said that one thing that they did, and this was before ad hoc group against crime, before there was an organization, it was just some men getting together with megaphones, going outside of drug dealers' houses and saying, not here, not in our community. You know what I'm saying? And so there has to be, there's a call for men to really be men and stand up and just take over the community, just take the thing over. You know what I'm saying? Like, here's one thing that I noticed in my family, because that's all I can speak of. That's my personal situation. I can count to 20, 30 different instances where I could really say that if there was a solid man in the family, this wouldn't have happened, that wouldn't have happened, that wouldn't have happened. You know what I mean? Simple things. Prime example, my mother, she lost both of her parents before she was an adult, right? So her father was gone. And from what I know, he was a good man. My mother went through domestic violence in her first marriage for an extended period of time. From what I know, I wasn't born yet. In my mind, and I could be wrong, if there was that solid male figure there, it wouldn't have went on like that. It wouldn't have happened that way. I have 2 daughters, and I can tell you now, ain't nobody gonna be putting their hands on either one of my daughters if I can help it. You know what I'm saying? And so that lack of male presence really leaves our women vulnerable. And then they get into a situation where they meet a broken man out here who wasn't raised by a man, who has no direction. They have a child by him, and now it just perpetuates the cycle. Another single mother trying to figure it out, no organizations around to really help her. And we got to break the cycle. We really got to break the cycle.
Let me jump in there for a quick second, please, because we're talking about mentors and we're talking about men, and we're talking about men changing young men's lives and meeting them where they are. Okay, so I'm 11 years old, and I've totally shut down. I don't talk to my mom, and I don't talk to you because I don't know you, and I don't talk to any man that she tries to introduce me to. I just don't talk. And what you don't realize is that I'm being bullied at school. I don't want to bring my mom into it because they will hit her. So I don't know what to do, and, I don't know what to trust. Now wait, I'm just 11.
Okay.
Next scenario, I'm 16, and now that I've grown a little bit older, the way that I learned how to defend myself is through my associations. But my associations wear a certain color, and they do certain things. But if I tell you that, if I tell on them because I need a mentor to help me get out of this, if I tell you what this is, then you're going to know that they carry guns and that they will shoot you and me. So that means if I tell you this, are you going to go over there and say, hey, leave this kid alone? Or are you going to take me out of that situation so that I don't have to go back to it, knowing that they took me, that you took me out of this? Because that's a life or death situation. What are you going to do as a man who has a family back home, who has something to lose? Are you really going to mentor me the way that I need it? Or are you going to try and program me to try and work myself out of that? Because I need help right now, and I'm young.
You know,
that's deep, bro. That's deep. Yeah.
See, I had that. See, when I started the Big Brothers and Big Sisters program, I think my little brother was 12, I believe. And he was kind of going through some of that. And I'll be honest with you, he was that kid that didn't talk. And so in the beginning, we literally just sat there. I may flip on a game or something like that. But for a while, we sat there because his expectation was that I'm only going to be here for a hot second. I'm out like the rest of them, you know? And so and finally the day that he opened up, you know, but it took I say at least a month and a half of really getting nothing out of him. And so, but then when he opened up, he was like, man, I thought you'd be gone by now. Because that's what's perpetuated in their heads, is that there is no consistency. You know, it's gonna be men coming in and out of my life that, you know, they may drop a dime here and there, but they ain't gonna stick around. So what does that mean to me? It means nothing. So I'm in one ear and out the other, because you gonna be the same way, one door and out the other. So they're treating us in the same method than how we feed information to them. We don't stick with them. We don't stick with them at all. And if it sounds tough. It sounds really, really harsh, especially when you do have something to lose. But are you really willing to die? Like, that's a big question that anybody has to ask themselves. Is this worth my life when I got other kids that depend on me for their well-being? When I have a girlfriend or a wife that's dependent on me to take care of my household, and I got this dude over here that I have no real connection with yet. Am I willing to stand up? Am I willing to walk into that room with the drug dealers and be like, hey man, y'all do what y'all do, but I'm gonna take little man with me.
But you know what? What I feel like, but it has to be looked at. It has to be looked at from a higher point of view, though. You know what I mean? Because yeah, of course, we always have to look at our own personal situation. But if you have to trick yourself into the reality that the more young men that are out here pushing drugs and killing and robbing and stealing, that's one more opportunity for it to be your child. So let me go out here and help with this situation so it doesn't end up hitting too close to home. And so there is a line there, but that's the same question that, you know, like we said, the Black Panthers, that's the same question they had to ask themselves. You know, do I know these people over here? And not really. I know they're a part of the community. Let me stay home and protect my family. Well, as you stay home and protect your family, the problem exacerbates because nobody's out here stopping it. And guess what? It ends up on your front door. Mm-hmm. So it's going to come there anyway. And so you might as well be proactive and step out and help the community, because as you break down these situations in the community and you help these individual young men get out of their situation, you're in turn protecting your children in the process. What do you think about that?
I agree. I agree with that wholeheartedly. But I'll be honest with you. There's not enough of us that have that mentality.
Exactly.
And that's the problem. Like, think about it like this. Before I reached out to you, you didn't know about me. You didn't know that I was doing the exact same thing, or not the exact same thing, but something similar to what you do. Mm-hmm. And because we live in this mindset that I'm by myself.
Exactly.
That I'm the only Black dude out here trying to do the right thing the right way.
But see,
we don't make those connections. We don't make that network to understand that we probably have a larger army out there where we could do things like that, because we all in our own separate corners. You know, I don't trust him, or, you know, he don't do it like I do it, so I really can't mess with him. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna do me. We keep living that me mentality. We do it too.
So Lauren, what did you just get finished saying? And if I heard you correctly, it sounded like the same thing, the same reasons why that kid will not make connections and will not reach out.
Yep.
We are the ones that are teaching them all the stuff that's in their head.
Yep.
It's us.
Yep.
It's not the fruit on the tree, it's the tree.
Yep.
Wow. So you're right, man. You're right. And so as men,
you gotta understand, there's a major attack on masculinity right now. And when you talk about masculinity is not male female. Masculinity is an energy. There's an attack on masculinity right now, you know. And so we don't have that. We you got these young boys out here, and we talk about it all the time. You know, why he dressed like that? Why does he carry himself like that? Because they're attacking masculinity, you know. So we have an even tougher time now working our way in there, because that feminine energy, they're surrounded by it so much that a masculine guy come in there and they're gonna be like, man, what you talking about? What you talking about? We over here diddy bopping. What you talking about? Work. Who works? Like, why do people? Who does that? You know. And so it's a major attack on men right now. You know, and it's gonna take men like us finding other men like us to really build a strong army. You know, you don't have to have a big army. You got to have an army strong enough to go head to head, though.
Yeah. But, you know, that's the, the benefit of the platforms that we have now. The fact that we're able to get on here as 4 men, you know, a few hundred people are able to hear this conversation. They can like, share, comment, pass it around, watch it with their young men. That's where we have to really just kind of start using technology to our advantage, because the enemy is using it against us. We know that media is the biggest enemy when it comes to our young children, the messages that they feed them, the music, all the imagery and all of that. And so if we can hop on the exact same medium with a positive message, I mean, that's a beautiful thing. And so, you know, definitely that's why I tell people, you know, if you're a single woman on here, if you know that you got nephews or you got men in your family that need this information, share it. It's nothing to share it. And even better than sharing it, if you have young boys in the home, watch it with them, pause it, Have a conversation, because one of the things that we do as parents sometimes is we assume way too much. We think our children aren't as smart as they are. These children now are coming out of the womb with tablets, like they already know how to work all that stuff. They know it better than we do. You know what I mean? So they're very, very intelligent. They know how to read between the lines. And if you have a good conversation with your child, it'll open up your mind to exactly how much they know and how real you can be with them. I think a lot of times we try to sugarcoat too much for our children, and they already know what we're talking about. And so what happens in that situation? You think that you imparted some knowledge, you thought you really did something. As soon as you walk off, they're like, man, I knew that 3-4 years ago, whatever. Well, and they already had their opinion developed.
And I don't think we sugarcoat. I don't think we explain enough. I don't think we sugarcoat. I don't think we have deeper conversations. We're saying that these kids are smart, but we talking to them on a level where we talk to them like they're kids.
Exactly.
And so we exclude certain information, or we don't, because understand a kid cares more about the why than the what.
Exactly.
They care more about the why. Why are you telling me that I need to pull my pants up? They don't care about the what.
Exactly.
They want to know the why. And we never get to the why because we so focused on the what, or our why may be because I said so when we talking to our kids. Because I said so.
Right.
Why? Here's an unpopular, Kanita just got finished saying unpopular opinion. If there's a household with young men, with a young man, men need to pick better girlfriends and wives as well. And women need to pick better husbands and boyfriends. The power of two is powerful. Just like somebody just got finished saying, a larger army. My comment to that, that's very good. My comment to that is sex does not pick a good boyfriend or a good girlfriend. Sex only satisfies itself in that moment. And usually that's when the kid comes after that man comes.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, man. I had my first when I was 16. So I wasn't nobody talking to me. My mom tried, but it was super uncomfortable. So I just turned her off. I turned her off. I didn't have one single male, not one, come say anything to me.
Right. Then it's crazy.
Matter of fact, I'll tell you, when I told my dad, that I think my girl might be pregnant, you know what he said to me?
What's that?
So what you gonna do?
So what you gonna do?
Yeah.
Deep conversation.
Yeah. And I was just kind of like, I don't know what to do. Like, that's why I'm telling you, because I need some advice. But you got to understand this. A broken man can't teach another broken man anything. He'll just keep breaking them.
Right. Exactly.
A broken man can teach another broken man anything. And that's not to take anything away from my father. He didn't know. He didn't know. So how was he supposed
to? But there has to be that point too. In the not knowing, there has to be a point of being honest, because I'm a firm believer in this. I'll listen to anybody. You feel me? You ain't got to have no PhD. You don't have to have anything that says that you have these credentials or anything like that. I can take it from life experience. And so I think that a lot of times we especially in this cancel culture that we got going on or whatever, like if you're not accepted by this group over here, I'm not going to listen to anything that you say, even if it's correct. That's absolutely wrong. And so what I feel is we have to be more honest. Even if you didn't do anything right, say you got it all wrong. Be honest about that. Hey, look, don't follow in my footsteps. This is what we're talking about today. Hey, don't follow in my footsteps. These are the mistakes I made. I don't know how to be the best man, but what I can tell you is you don't want to take that left over here, right? When you get to that crossroads, you might want to go right. I think there needs to be more of that. You know what I mean? I think there's too much of this, if I'm not perfect or if I didn't do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, in the proper order, then I can't tell anybody anything. I can't, it says you can't teach what you don't know. And I'm arguing that point. I'm arguing that point a little bit because you can't teach what you don't know, but you can teach the mistakes that you made and teach someone how to avoid those specific mistakes. I think that's where there's a breakdown.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
You may be able to articulate what they shouldn't do, But if you never corrected that mistake, what are you really going to teach them?
Exactly, and that was
where not to go. That's what I'm. Look, check this out. So say I'll take myself for example. I didn't right off the bat get married. You know, have my children with the same woman. I didn't do everything correctly, and you can't tell me that I can't tell you how to do it right because I made the mistake. I know the pain, so it's coming from a point of experience, real life experience. There's no better school than the school of hard knocks. When I didn't knock my head against the wall a couple times, I can tell you for sure that it hurts, and you can see my pain, and you can know that I don't want to deal with that, and I can tell you what I would have done differently.
But you got to understand to the average young man out there, though, you're the exception, not the rule. You're the exception, not the rule.
What I thought I heard you say is you can't. I mean, you can teach something. What you just give his saying?
You can't teach what you don't know.
Yeah. But at the same time, you can't teach what you can't show. It's not about what you can't show, because
if that's the case, then how can a coach that can't play basketball teach LeBron James anything? You don't have to be able to teach.
I don't believe he did teach LeBron James what LeBron James knew. What he did was he opened some doors for LeBron James so that LeBron James would be able to do what he did best. That's
within a structure. The coach creates the structure.
Well,
and I like that. Right, because I like this conversation because this is important. Because I think this is where we're all stuck. This is where our whole community is stuck. Let's think about it. This is where our whole community is stuck because we only want to hear certain things from certain people. So then when we narrow it down to these are the only people we listening to, and these people ain't talking, we ain't getting the message.
Mm-hmm. What I'm saying about teach what you can't teach, what you can't show or don't show. I'm this 13-year-old. My dad came, or I'm hanging out with my dad. We're outside the house. I'm getting ready to go back into the house with my mom, and he said, "Hey, look, dude, wrap it up before you do." He's telling me all this stuff, and the first thing that's popping into my mind is, okay, so which house you getting ready to go to? The girlfriend you left my mom for, or your wife's?
Ouch.
Don't
real, man. That's real. Okay.
Show me that you can do something different, because that means that I can do something different. Mm-hmm. But if you can't show me that different is out there, I'm not going to believe it.
Mm-hmm.
And
I see that. I definitely see that. I see that.
And it's crazy because we end up in a split still, because even my mindset, like with me, for example, like, and I was saying a little earlier, I didn't have to make the mistakes. I learned from other people's mistakes. That's what he did. Oh no, I ain't getting that one. You know what I'm saying? So I will look at individuals and see, I do not want that result. That's not the result I want. So I was able to avoid a lot of things. Like I didn't have kids before, you know what I'm saying? I got married. I was married when I had children. You know what I'm saying? And I seen, I was scared. I think I said I was scared of child support. I thought when you have a woman, you know what I'm saying, and you get pregnant, you're getting on child support, boy. That was the number one thing. So I'm not gonna lie, that put a lot of fear in me, you know. But at the same time, just kind of seeing, I didn't want to fall into the mistake that a lot of people fell into, because I seen it. Now I got a friend. Me and him had the same conversation, y'all, and he actually is okay. This is just him. He's okay and willing to go through the process, even though he feels the emotion, the pain, which I don't understand. But I said, if that's the direction you want to go, that's your direction. But I learned from other people's mistakes. I don't have to go through those same mistakes. So I kind of maneuver right there. Now, I'm not saying I'm a super unique individual. You know what I'm saying? I'm a little different. But at the same time, I believe that if I can do it, and if anybody else can do it, the individual can do it. It's just a choice that they have to make. You know, but I still see where everybody's coming from. But I believe that, you know, I see it from that perspective.
Some of the guys that I saw who actually got saved, and I use that word loosely, got saved. Some of those guys had either grand uncles or grandfathers or somebody that came over on Saturday morning when it was playtime and got the kid. The kid had no say. It's like get in the car and they went and they started cutting grass, or they went and paved some kind of driveway. They went painting. They did some physical labor all during playtime. So by the time the kid got home and had his little $7 in his pocket, he was worn out. He was exhausted. He ate, didn't have too much time to go out and get reconditioned by his friends. So Monday evening came along and it was basketball practice time. Thursday evening came along and it was something else filling his time. But
take away that airspace.
Exactly.
Take away that airspace.
A chance to say, hey, this is what I want to do.
Yeah. Take
away.
You're
saying that the young men now, they just got too much time on their hands, just idle minds, a double playground.
Nope. Yeah. The older men got too much time on their hands and they don't know what to do with it, because they won't go and get the kids and show them anything constructive, because they don't know anything constructive. It's the tree, not the fruit.
I agree with that, bro. I agree with that. And that's one of the main areas that I feel we all, like male, female, young, old, we all fail through the use of our time or the misuse of our time. It's funny to me how, like, we graduate high school, we all have the same type of goals and aspirations. By the time I hit this age, I'm going to be this person. We make lists, we write it down, but we don't carry any of it out. And when you break it down, it's based off of what you do every day. What are you doing this hour? What are you doing this minute? And a lot of times, like you said, it's just wasted. And especially now with social media, it's tablets, and kids are on video games all the time. They don't even go outside and play, get sunlight and exercise. Everything is them putting their making themselves subject to a message. And that's the problem. There's no creativity. They're not actually thinking or doing. They're always receiving. And we know most of those messages are negative, and it's shaping their minds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but part of that, and a lot of that falls on the parent. Part of that falls on the parent. You give them the tablet, but you don't really, you don't give them any structure around that tablet.
Exactly.
You ain't blocking nothing on there, so they can go and they can get on whatever site they want to get on. They can spell something wrong and end up, looking at something they minds ain't even nowhere close to being ready for, because we like, hey man, I got you this pretty little tablet here. Go ahead and run.
So what's the purpose for the tablet? Is the purpose for the tablet to teach
babysitting,
or is the purpose for the tablet?
It's a babysitter, electronic babysitter.
Exactly. Here's two comments that I didn't want to jump past. One of them was, where is it? Who implements that in a single mother home? We're going to get to that question. And then Lauren Jones actually said something that we need to actually be aware of. Our language has power. So don't use phrases as if a child is a mistake, because a child is not a mistake.
No, never.
Things that the tree needs to learn so that we can bear better fruit.
Yeah, definitely. No, you're right. And I like actually how you worded that in the comment. You said, use the phrase becoming responsible as a parent before you plan to. And that's real. That's real. Become responsible before you plan to. So it says, who implements that in a single mother household? So all these things that we're talking about for a single mother, how do they implement those things? Drew, how would you start that conversation?
It depends on our 6 degrees of separation. If that single mother has to ask that question, there's a strong possibility that her trust circle is not too wide, meaning she doesn't know that man that she can reach out to, and that's problematic in itself, because that child's trust circle is not going to be wide either. So therefore, their distrust of any kind of help is going to be about like this. So the thing is we got to figure out within ourselves, who can we trust? How do we trust? And then what are we trusting? Are we trusting this person, or are we trusting this process? So there's a whole lot of dynamics that we have to work on within ourselves before we even reach outside of our household.
Mm-hmm.
And really what I'm hearing too, just in this last few minutes here, is we just need to spend more time with our children. Just period. Stop letting the TV babysit them. Stop letting the tablet babysit them. Actually take up time with them. Teach them how to do things. Show them about life. Show them about budgeting. We talked about that on the show a couple weeks ago. We were talking about finance. Stop pushing your kids away when it comes to that portion of your life. Involve them in all aspects, because at some point they're going to become an adult and they're going to have to do all these things on their own. And so a better child, a better raised child makes a better adult.
It's real.
You know?
And I think, and I'm going to say this, man, it comes down to one of the last shows that we had was called Intentional Living. We got to intentionally do these things. We got to be conscious and aware of what's going on. See, now that we're aware of these things, now that we're conscious of these things, we got to make a decision, right? We have to make a decision. And I always say a decision is not a thought. A decision is action. We got to take action. Right. Today, I'm going to make a decision. I'm going to take action into moving our child or the younger generation in the right direction, because we all have a responsibility. Listen, if it's not your child, you have a responsibility. You hear the saying, and I've even seen somebody wrote it right on the message comment section. It said it takes a village to raise a child. Just because it may not be your child, if you see a young man or young somebody going in the wrong direction, it is our responsibility as an adult, as a person who cares for our children, who cares for the youth, because the youth. This came to me the other day. I was thinking about this, put this out there. Listen, the next generation is the result of this generation. So whatever we instill, wherever the next generation comes out like, it's because of us. It's because of us. We're responsible for that. And we can't be so selfish to say, I'm only care about my household. You have a responsibility in existing, period. If you wouldn't want this to happen to your child, if you wouldn't want it to happen in your seed, if you wouldn't want it to happen to your nieces, your nephews, if you see someone who's in a situation, look to help them out and step up. And if they don't want it, you did your responsibility, your duty. But if you're going in with the right mindset, the right intention, and know how to get into that individual's mind and meet them where they are, and even if you don't, get somebody that may know how. Maybe you may 60, maybe 60, and they're 14. You don't feel like you may be the one. It's your responsibility to say, you know what, I got somebody who I think may be able to do this. But you got to do your due diligence. We got to do our due diligence, right? We got to really care enough to say, I'm going to go out and I'm going to make a difference. If you say it's not my responsibility, and that goes kind of Drew, what you were saying, how, would you step out and they're in a gang, they this, that, and the other, would you do that? To keep it real with you, I would, right? But that's what I'm saying. It takes you. It takes the individual. I honestly would, right? Because but it's all about how you do it. There's certain, always say this, and I'll say leave it at this right here. It's about anything is possible to be done, but it's about how you do it. There's always a way. There's never not a way. The moment we say that there's not a way is the moment that the way is stopped. You're not gonna get the result. Even in an argument, even in different arguments, in disagreements, even me and my wife may have a disagreement. And I know we have disagreement with our ladies, our spouses, and different things like that. When we have a disagreement, we say, I tried everything. No, the heck you haven't, because there is a way. There always is a way. We just got to say, you know what? I'm willing to stand in the gap as long as I have to until that way is paid. We got to come up with things like Andrew right now with Elevating Men. We got to come up with programs. We got to write things. We got to do certain things like this to say, I care enough to make a change. And this right here, Elevating Men, is ways that change is happening. So, man,
man, you see that thing. You put a lot there.
That sounds perfect. However, I got to throw the scenario in here.
Yes, sir.
I'm a 24-year-old single mom, and I got 2 kids. And not only do I work a 9-hour job with a 30-minute break, but I got to get up at 7 a.m. or 6 a.m. just to get the kids ready for school. When I get home, after picking them up at about 5:30, because I'm a little bit late, I got to get home, and now I got to go to my second job. My second job is cooking for them, making sure they eat, and then putting them in front of some homework, hoping that they do it. And then I got to go to my third job when they go to sleep. And my third job is making sure that I need to learn how to wind down from my 2 jobs, plus listening to all the noise outside and who's getting ready to break into my household, because now I got to be the man of protecting this household all night. So my sleep is not necessarily that good, but I got to do this. I got to repeat this 4 hours from now every single day for the next 18, 19 years.
Now that's real. And that's the challenge. You're right. Because we're putting
tell me that I need to find some more time to help, to do something else. I don't have any time.
This is what I would kind of in some response of that, and honest, it comes down to asking for help. There's always someone out there willing to help you. I think the problem is that, and I can't speak for all women, but I believe that women have this thing that I don't need no help. I can handle it myself. It's my daddy ain't around for whatever, so I'm not going to ask for help. I'm just going to be able to do it alone. I support my child, anything my child needs. But a lot of times, I don't think we ask for help. Like if we need somebody to help, there's somebody who's always out there. There's always a way. That's what I'm saying. But I believe that we don't really go through our mind or my mental thought process to find out what's the best way. Yes, I'm tired. There's delegation. There's different things. Like I said, and it may seem challenging at times. There really is. But the moment that we say we're stuck right here, there is no way. It's the moment that our mind stops thinking. And we know how powerful our minds is. We can manifest some things, and we're not going that route. But I'm saying is that there always is a way. Ask for help. And what did Les Brown say? He said, ask for help, not because you're weak, but ask for help because you want to remain strong, right? Ask for help. Ask for help so that your situation can remain solid enough to where you can do what you got to do and get the result that you're looking to get.
Another scenario.
I'll ask you.
Hold on 1 second. Mm-hmm. Oh, go ahead, Lauren.
I'll ask you a question though, because I love your energy and I love your passion. I love it. It's oozing off of you. But I'll ask you a question. How long can you maintain that energy though? And I'm not saying that you can't. What I'm saying is that kid that's out there that needs help, how long can you maintain that energy? Because that is where things begin to fall apart. Is we come in here, we motivate, we do our thing, we dropping all these dimes. And then next week we ain't nowhere to be found.
Lauren, stop it.
Lauren,
stop it.
Okay,
that's just
and I'm not trying to be a pessimist, because I know it sounds like I'm being a pessimist. I'm not trying to be a pessimist. What I'm simply trying to say is that we're speaking from our current lifestyles, but we're not speaking to other people's lifestyles that aren't able to do what we do, don't have the same energy and motivation that we do. So we sitting there and we're pounding, but we're not consistent in that pounding.
You just have to be saying the magical word. The one thing that women actually knock men on, and that's a generality or a general statement, but our consistency. That's the one thing that women want, is a consistent man. So yeah, if he comes into this life and if he comes into this mentorship, or she's asked for help and he comes in, now the question is, how long does he stay? Because she got this for 18 years minimum. Is he going to stay 2 weeks or a month? Or is he going to stay trying to get benefits? Or is he going to stay? What is his motivation and why? Let me stop.
So check.
But now listen, me having grown up. Oh, go ahead.
I want to answer Lauren's question. So check this out. To answer your question, now you referenced me. And I know I love that you asked the question. Nothing. I love that. I love the challenge, because it causes answers to be given to the individuals who think the same way. So to answer the answer is this: you are the answer. It's not just because I got the energy. How passionate and how much do you care about the individual? Because when you care about someone, you love someone, you care about their well-being, you're gonna stand there no matter what. It's you, and every individual got to take responsibility for themselves. But I want you to do, like, seriously, even on this, the people who's listening to this, think about this. That's a very good question. How long would you stay? And if you're not the one to stay and to say, I'm going to be here, then you got to cancel yourself out and don't put it on the next man. Because I know that if I'm going through and I care and I'm mentoring somebody as a man, I'm a mentor. And you can't say, it's not the kid or the child's part that the mentor left. It's the mentor, the individual who left, his problem is that is. So I'm willing to do it. It's not just my energy, it's my passion, my heart, and my love, and my caringness to be able to want to keep doing that.
No, let me interject just for a second. Let's step back real quick. So
I love it. No. This is real.
Here's the thing though. Nobody has enough energy, strength stamina, or any of that to fix the problem alone. And so it's never going to be an individual. That's always been our problem, especially in the Black community, is our need for a leader, our need for leadership. And then we put all of this, all of our burdens on one mere mortal man, to take care of everything. And that's never going to happen. That's the big problem that we have now. Everybody has to do their part. And somebody's part, maybe you can pick up 20 pounds. And this brother over here, he can pick up 100 pounds. And he could pick up 500 pounds, right? If we all work together and do our small part, we can get where we're going. But we have to get out of this mentality that there has to be this big alpha leader that's doing everything, because that person doesn't exist. He doesn't exist. All of us can do a little. When I run out, I pass the torch to you. Hey, I'm tired, brother. Listen, I got some stuff going on with my family tonight. I'm supposed to be over here, doing my big brother thing or whatever, man. Can you pick up the slack? No, I can't. But hey, this brother over here, I know he can. He said he wasn't doing nothing tonight. That's where it comes down to. It's not about any one individual. It will never be about any one individual. We all have different strengths. We all have different things that we bring to the table. And so it has to be more of a division of labor among the men in the community to get the job done.
Okay, that sounds good, Andrew. However, no mother is going to actually let the third riff reference, who she hasn't even met the second one, because you said, hey, I gotta do something with my family. Can you step in for me for my mentorship tonight? And the other guy says, I can't, but I know a guy who can. That process gets a little bit murky right there, because no vetting has been done for this.
We're talking about properly vetted in advance. We ain't talking about just throwing kids to the wolves or nothing like that. But what I'm saying is there has to be a circle. There has to be more men like us being here right now, more men like that. And some men are going to put in more than others. And we have to just be okay with that and accept that, because we need everybody's little part of their help. Whatever they can do, we need that.
Agree.
That's why I wanted that explained, elaborated. Yes, because every problem has a solution.
Yep,
exactly. So really, it's more of a matter of us as men bonding together, understanding that we have to step out into the community and maybe do some things that we may not wholeheartedly want to do, but we're doing it for the greater good. We're doing it for the bigger picture. We understand that if we don't, society is going to steadily decline. We know that if we don't, these issues can end up on our doorstep, no matter how good we are in our individual homes. And
see what you're saying right here is something that's not new. We knew this back in the 80s. They knew that back in the 60s. And they knew that even back in the 50s and the 40s. And yet we're still having this conversation.
Now, they did a better job of it back then. What would you say from your perspective? Because they did a better job of it back then, as far as community policing, as far as the village raising the children versus the individual. What's the difference now?
I'd like to say I don't know. That's the easy answer. But I really don't believe that they did any different of a job or better a job. They did a different job for a different time frame. But my point is, whatever they did, we're still having that same conversation today. So whatever they did, it did not address or eliminate or even cut the problem in half. The problem only got worse.
You gotta think of how long the programming has been going on. Exactly. You went back to the 40s, right? You went back to the 40s. Go back to slavery, when all the black men was to be made as a breeding tool to breed more of us. That's where things really started to break down. The mother already knew Papa was getting pulled out the house. He just came to make babies, drop off some food here and there, and then he was out. He was getting pulled away. It ain't that he wanted to go. He got pulled away. And then the women get programmed to think he's never going to be here. And so now you fast. That's why you got the whole independent woman thing now, because women have finally said, you know what? We've been doing this on our own for so long, right, wrong, or indifferent. We've been doing this for so long. We now believe that we don't need that piece anymore.
One of the things I'd like to interject because I believe everything that you said, but I also believe that there was a different man at the end of slavery, different black man, and that different black man actually bought and owned property because he actually knew the importance of land for his family. So he actually had a mindset that was not just about getting sex or breeding. It was about a legacy.
But that's because he came from a struggle. He came from a certain struggle.
But he knew the importance of land ownership and legacy.
Because it wasn't accessible to him. I think now we have an entitled society where everything's been given. I mean, if you think about it, if you say a young man growing up in a house, and it's not to disparage anybody, but he lives in a house where nobody has to work. It's all government assistance, right? And so he sees, hey, the lights are on. There's heat. We got Netflix. I got a flat screen TV. I got the Jordans on my feet. We eating, and I don't see anybody working. I don't see anybody doing anything productive. But we still have the things that we need. It sends the wrong message, 100%. And so when you compare a slave, somebody coming out of slavery who couldn't have anything, but they worked all day and couldn't have anything. Now you let them go. That's like the force that's built up in a rubber band. You didn't pull that thing, and when you let it go, boom, it's ready to go. But now we got a society of people that I don't have to do anything to get what I want. For me to have a minimal standard of living, I don't really have to do anything.
You just said it right there. We've accepted a minimal standard of living.
Exactly.
It's been accepted. When you talk about, you gave all those different examples of what people need. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, you don't even really need half of that. Like you don't need those things. But we've been programmed to think those are the things that we do need, instead of instilling, values, the right resources. We've replaced that with material. It's been completely replaced with material. That's why when everybody got their stimulus checks, they went out and got TVs. They didn't go try to make an investment of any capacity. They went and got another babysitter for the kids. You know what I'm saying? So
now say this. Now since we've been hitting on fatherhood and the family, man, we're actually over time, but the conversation is so good. We're just gonna hit this last point or whatever. But somebody actually brought up in the comments before about choosing the right man or woman at the beginning would eliminate a lot of this. Can we speak to that for just a second? Do you believe that if we were more intentional with our first movements as far as dating, sex, marriage, do you think that it would make a difference in what we're talking about here today?
I do agree to that one. Who you with and who you decide to do life with is very important on how effective you are in life. Because if you pick the right individual who is strengthening you, who is sharpening you, for iron does sharpen iron. If you pick the right individual who is on their thing, and you can be more effective even in how you raise your children, right? But once again, a lot of individuals are being in single households, and so it's putting all the weight on one individual. And when you're in a single household, I learned that a lot of rules are able to be bent. I was here and I pay attention to how my children respond to me versus how they respond to my wife. They respect my wife. They respect me just as well. But when daddy says something, that's it. I'm not talking back. I'm not giving nothing else. That is final. And so picking the right individual that you're having a child with, the right individual that you are looking to marry. And I will say this, it's nothing wrong with dating, but the ultimate goal should be marriage, not sex. And I think that a lot of people are get into relationships for the wrong reasons, so they get the right result, what they don't want, right? Because they're not conscious and aware of who am I with, who am I spreading my seed with, who am I putting myself in position to have a life and have to deal with their issues with. And you really got to be aware of that. But once you become aware to say, you know what, this is the right individual for me, and I'll leave it at this. The problem is, and I did a video on this a little bit ago, is that a lot of individuals don't know what they're looking for. They don't know how to find the right woman or the right man. They're looking at the wrong thing. So once again, they're getting the right result, exactly what they don't want. They're looking at whether it be for sex, whether it be because we have good conversation, whether because we have a lot of things in common. That don't even matter. Y'all can have a lot of things in common, but the last time I heard, actually what attracts. And me and my wife are opposite. You know what I'm saying? We're opposite, but we attract. So it's about finding the right individual, seeing is this a man or woman that I want to do life with. Are they a man or woman who is not lazy? Are they a man or woman who's about their business? Or are they just a person to say, you know what, I want to live by the state. I want to live by the bare minimum. I don't have any goals or dreams. And then you look at yourself and say, where am I at? You exactly where you're supposed to be because you're with the person who's nowhere. Exactly. That's just real though.
Man. Now on this topic, I want to ask you, Lauren, if you were talking to a 16, 17-year-old young man, you know, today, and he's at the point where he's thinking about having sex, he's kind of trying to map out his life. You may feel that he's getting ready to not make a mistake per se, but possibly put himself in a situation for things that he's not ready for responsibilities that he's not ready to handle. What would you say to him? I think you're muted, bro.
I'm gonna educate him honestly. I think a lot of times we hide behind this cloak of righteousness when we talk about sex. We hide behind this cloak of righteousness. You know, sex is natural. It truly is. So, you know, we don't talk about things like condoms and protection. We don't talk about things like, you know, STDs. We don't even talk about the emotional side of sex. We don't have those conversations. A lot of us, you know, we grow up in homes, you know, where the church is telling us, well, there's no sex before marriage and that's it. Well, when you 16 and you jonesing, you ain't paying attention to it. You ain't thinking about none of that. You thinking with little head. Right, you know, right. So if you don't go in there, if you don't go into that setting, being educated, understanding these are the potential pitfalls, you just going in there blind. Nobody told me certain things about sex. So I'm like, man, how come nobody said anything to me? Nothing.
So at what age do you feel that conversation should start? Is it, you know, considering the children now and what they're exposed to, would you say that, you know, so 13?
Oh no, you too late. 13.
Too late. Yeah, 13, what's a good age to start having the conversation so that we can avoid these issues?
I mean, honestly, you got to look at each kid as an individual, honestly.
I agree.
Because you have to, you can't have the same conversation with your 8-year-old, 9-year-old son that you have with, you know, your 10, 11-year-old daughter. The conversation is different, you know. So you gotta know who you're talking to, number one. But you gotta understand you're battling against a society that puts sex everywhere. Yeah. I mean, you know, you watch Fortnite, and you got your little 8-year-old son looking at girls on there twerking on Fortnite. So he's already beginning to start to process, and his brain ain't equipped in any capacity to process. So you have to start the conversations. And I know it probably sounds really, really weird, but you got to start those conversations at like 9, 10 years old.
Wow. It has, and, you know, and I felt like, to be honest with you, like I used to feel like you wanted to hold off on that conversation as long as possible. But like I said, I've got 2 daughters, and with girls, they develop a little faster, like you kind of alluded to. And, you know, just from the time that their biological clock starts, their menstrual cycle, it can start at 9, 10 years old. And so they're actually capable of bringing a life into this world way earlier than we think. And with that comes different hormones, emotions, and things like that. And so I agree with you that the conversation does have to be started earlier. But like you said, knowing your child is a big part of it too. And so that's where it comes down to spending enough time with them, having enough conversations so that you can see, you know, those little subtle signs that, you know, hey, maybe they're thinking about this, or maybe they've seen something that's concerning that we need to talk about. What are your thoughts on that, Drew?
Well, my thoughts on that is something similar to slavery and the results of it. After slavery and after the Ku Klux Klan, their rise, we always taught our kids how to survive. You walk with your head down, you walk with your eyes down. Make sure you get back home. And that same conversation sounds similar to wrap it up. You don't want to have a kid out of wedlock. You don't want to have a kid too young. You don't want to do all these things to mess your life up. Never does that conversation include what's your purpose. Who are you? What kind of plan do you have? It's never forward thinking. It's always protecting you from what's out there. It's always, you got to do these things, otherwise the boogeyman is going to eat you up.
Right.
It's never forward thinking like, hey, let's sit down and find out who you are. Let me tell you the word purpose. Because when you develop something before you go out there, then you go out and you put the pieces to that plan that you've developed.
You are so right, man. They're living in a way that they don't have anything to lose. I know in my own personal life, when I finally woke up to the fact that, hey, I've got a lot to live for. I have people depending on me. My actions matter. What I do matters. It changed my habits. It changed the way that I moved and the way that I interacted with different people. And so I believe that you're 100% right on that, Drew. It's a matter of us not bringing out the purpose in our children early enough so that they have a reason not to do the things that we're talking about. Because otherwise, like you said, it's just, hey, the boogeyman's out there, don't go outside, versus I have these goals, dreams, and ambitions that I'm trying to make happen and that I want to bring to reality. I have things that I want out of life. And if I do these things, it's going to mess up what I want. We don't do enough tying the consequences to the dreams and the hopes and the purpose of our children. So you just brought up an excellent point. Excellent point.
When we were 6 years old, we were trying to learn how to take a cardboard box and make a bank out of it. We were trying to learn how to make things that were futuristic, that would be beneficial to us. And once we made that bank, it became something that we put our little 75-cent week allowance into it. Versus when we get a toy now, it's just to pacify us, and we never know what purpose it could be in our future. Why? Just like Lauren was saying, we never talk about why. We never.
Man, listen, bro, we're over time here. So we'll cut this short. We're gonna have to pick this conversation back up again next week. For everybody that's watching, this is every Monday at 7 p.m. We're having these conversations. Please spread the word. Bring in your young boys. If you're raising a boy, let them listen to the broadcast. Let them ask questions. Bring them on. That's what we're here for. Like we talked about before, there not being enough resources in the community. This is a resource right here. Everything doesn't have to be in person. We have to, like Lauren said, meet them where they're at. And a lot of them, they're a lot quicker to watch a YouTube video or hop on a live stream or something like that than they are to actually sit with someone and have these conversations. So definitely plug them in, spread the word. It's Elevating Men. Lauren, we'll start with you since it's your first time on. Can you, just kind of let people know how to get in touch with you, what you have going on and things like that?
Yeah, you can get in touch with me on social media, all my handles, Facebook, Instagram, you name it. Lojo Speaks, LOJOSPEAKS, all one word. Those are all my social handles. I'm on the internet all the time. So if you can't find me on the internet, because I know that's where everybody else is. So if you can't find me on here, you probably wasn't looking hard enough. But those are my socials, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, you name it. Lojo Speaks. Lock it in your head.
Good thing. Drew, you let people know how to get in contact with you, what you got going on.
RESTIN 2050, restin2050.org. That's my website. Basically, we got 29 years. We got a little over 10,000 days before 2050 gets here, whether we're prepared or not. The goal is to kill all of this bad mentality, prepare a tomorrow so that a new mentality can use that preparedness and keep moving forward.
Yeah, we're gonna do we're gonna get together, Drew, and do a live stream specifically on the restoration, because I think that's a plan that everybody really needs to hear about. It's solid. It's solid. LaRon, the motivator.
Sir, yes.
Let them know how to get in contact with you, brother.
Absolutely. Listen, you can look me up right now on Facebook at LaRon the Motivator. You can look me up on there right now. That's the only place I'm locating right now. I got a website in the process of being up, so you'll be able to connect with me on there as well. Also, I'll go ahead and offer you all something as well. I like to do this, especially when we have good conversations like this. If you all have young men, or even you yourselves who looked at this thing and you want to find out how to become a better mentor, a better parent, a better individual, a person that the youth will look up to, or whatever it is that you desire to become, I want to go ahead and give you a free life coaching session. If you just hit me up on LaRon the Motivator and just elevating men, I want to help you. I want to help you to grow self, because in order for you to grow the young men in the community or the individuals around you, you have to be a certain level. I want to give you a free life coaching session, give you some direction, see what it is that you want, so that you can manifest what it is that you want in your own life.
Thank you, thank you. And then, of course, I'm A.L. Johnson. This is Elevating Men. Do us a favor, because we're trying to get this message out to as many people as possible. Like, comment, share as much as you can. Go to our page, go to the search box, pull up Elevating Men, add yourself to the page, add the young men in your life to the page. We post, memes, different tips, articles, different resources, as well as this live stream. It's also posted there every Monday at 7 o'clock. We're going to grow this thing because, again, we want to help as many people as possible. We believe that as we rebuild the men, we're rebuilding the communities. And for a better community, that creates a better world for all of us, And so thanks for joining the broadcast. We will see you again next week. Same place, same time, Monday, 7 p.m. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great night.